If your homeowner's insurance in Florida feels out of control, you're not imagining it. Rates are up, then they've been going up for a while now. Carriers are leaving Florida, policies are tightening up. So what's actually driving this? Is it corporate greed? Is there also something deeper happening? Let's break it down in simple terms. So insurance companies price risks, and the higher the risk, the higher the premium. So what creates this risk in Florida? Wind, hurricanes, a lot of insurance claims, but specifically hurricanes. And here's what a lot of people don't realize. Insurance companies are not just looking at your zip code, they're looking at how your house was built. They look at how resistant your house is to wind damage. So what makes a house lower risk? So the first thing to look at is how old is your roof? And older roofs are typically more likely to fail or have issues. And especially as time goes on, these issues are gonna get worse and worse. Throw some hurricanes into the mix, it's a higher risk. Number two is how that roof is connected to the rest of your house, as I've talked about in several videos. So this is where hurricane straps or upgrading those connection actually starts to come in. So a lot of people ask, what are hurricane straps? And in simple terms, hurricane straps are just metal connectors that tie your roof structure to your walls. And that's gonna help resist force when the winds come, or if the hurricane enters your house, it'll give your roof a better connection to your structure so it doesn't actually get pulled off in the event of a storm. And if your home already has these upgraded straps, insurance companies actually consider you as safer bets for them. Why? Because roofs that stay attached create fewer catastrophic claims. So now you ask me, why don't all homes have upgraded straps? And the answer is simple. Number one, changing the straps requires a general contractor's license, not just a roofing license. And number two, it costs additional money. So there's really only two ways to replace hurricane straps or upgrade to hurricane straps. Number one is from below, number two is from above, and I'll break that down right now. So either number one, we have to go through your house, through the perimeter of your house, wherever your roof is pitched. Let's just say this is the front of the house, this is the back. Wherever those trusses sit on every truss, we have to reinforce the connection of that, once again, roof to wall connection. So we have to tear out the drywall, probably go 12 inches from the corner down, and then we're also gonna need some space to work. So we're gonna have to come off the ceiling. So we have to come down about 12 inches, and then we have to come off about 12 inches, maybe even as much as 18, just depending on where your tie beam sits. Actually, I take it back. 15 inches should give us enough. Or as we're replacing the roof, where your house ends right here, we have to basically cut a trench from above and remove plywood that full length of your house on both sides of your house. So it is very expensive to do on its own, because either A, you're gonna tear off a perfectly good roof and then have to patch a perfectly good roof. And if you know Florida building code, if you replace more than 25% of the roof, that means you have to replace the entire roof. So it's not cost effective just to wake up one day and say, hey, I'm gonna add hurricane straps. On the other hand, if you happen to be renovating your home, let's say you're doing a full home renovation, that might be a great time to upgrade at the same time, where you don't actually have to touch the roof. And back when we did construction, that was something that we did for some of our clients. Now, certain parts in Miami, I'm not gonna mention Hialeah, have been accused of being the fraud capital of the world. I think it's with auto insurance potentially. It's not necessarily home insurance. But, you know, it's kind of like the chicken or the egg. Obviously, us as homeowners or anybody that owns a home wants, if we are forced to have insurance, if we pay insurance, we expect the insurance company to do their job, which is basically, we pay you to protect our house. If something happens to my house, I want you to protect me. But that's not how it is. And if you've been through an insurance claim, you know absolutely it's a battle. It takes a lot of time. Lawyers get involved, property adjusters get involved. And literally people have careers, property adjusters and first party attorneys basically have careers, make a very healthy living off of going after insurance companies. I'm not gonna get into the system and the politics behind it, but you know, and who's to blame for this that's exploded. Let's stay on topic. So an exemption that exists, I'm not sure the reason, and even if I knew the reason, I don't think there's a good reason to have that exemption, is that with the Florida Building Code, there's a lot of exemptions that qualify for not requiring a homeowner when they redo their roof to upgrade their hurricane straps. Now, what does this do? Now let's think about that for a second. If all the homes in Florida were required when they replaced their roof to also upgrade to straps, would more insurance companies come back into Florida where now the risk is a little bit lower? I don't know. Are there things that we can do to make ourselves more attractive to insurance companies to potentially bring down premiums, because if there's less insurance companies, that means there's less competition, which means it's a little bit easier to charge additional premiums. So going back into Florida building code, I went down a rabbit hole again. So one of the exemptions is that if the cost of upgrading 2 straps costs more than 15% of the replacement cost of your roof, you are exempt. Now, there's the black, white, and the gray, good, bad, and the ugly. The ugly thing is a lot of roofing companies that don't have a general contractor's license, or even roofing companies that do have a GC license, will actually inflate the cost of replacing the straps so the homeowner qualifies for that exemption and therefore does not have to replace the straps on their home. Now, what does this do to our market? It further separates us from our insurance companies, and it also, in my opinion, puts a lot more homeowners at risk without them really understanding what it is and taking the time to explain it to them, saying, hey, if we get a really bad hurricane, if we get another Hurricane Andrew or worse, is it worth the $5,000 investment, $6,000, $7,000, whatever it is? I mean, depending on the size of the house. Depending on the size of the house, the cost to do the hurricane straps usually ranges anywhere between $3,500. I mean, and obviously we do some monster houses, but your normal houses, $3,500 to $7,500, anywhere from 1,500 square feet all the way up to 3,500 square feet, standard conditions, that's your price range. So for $7,500, worst case scenario, you're saving money and significant money every single year on your insurance. I've done a couple calculations with some homeowners, and I've seen anywhere from like 3 to 5 years that they've actually been able to reclaim that money. And now they're getting a return on their investment every year as their insurance isn't rising because they actually have better protection. And that's the small one. Number 2 is when there's an actual storm, us as roofers, homeowners who have a new roof that's rated to 200 miles an hour, the roofing material, the roofing system, the actual roofing cover has their rating, but if the system that is connected to the walls is subpar, who cares what you put on there? And that's a conversation I had with a homeowner fairly recently, saying, hey, you're about to put $60,000 on a roof. Is it worth it to invest a couple $1,000s extra to have that protection? And maybe I need to work on my sales. I couldn't sell it, but at the end of the day, I was just looking after her best interests. Obviously, they're making a big investment. If a hurricane comes along and tears off that roof, guess what? She's gonna have to replace it, or the insurance company is gonna replace it. But then we're getting back into what I was talking about earlier. Anyway, so the other exemption is if you look at the property's value on the Miami-Dade property appraisal or whatever county property appraiser's website, if the value of the home is less than $300,000, not what it would sell for on Realtor, Zillow, wherever, property appraiser's website, the dwelling, the home is gonna have a perceived value. If that's less than $300,000, you're also exempt. Now, I think that having this exemption actually hurts us more than it helps us. If anything, I would like to see state regulation potentially allow roofers to handle this, and that might actually bring down the cost, because now more people can participate in replacing these straps, and therefore more homes may actually get upgraded to having hurricane straps. So once again, a lot of roofers or other companies are pitching this as good news. You don't have to upgrade your straps. But is that actually good news? Short term, maybe, as I talked about. Long term, definitely not. But if you go to sell your house in the future, the new buyer, they are going to qualify for that loan based off of taxes and insurance and the mortgage payment. So if their taxes and mortgage payment don't change, the only thing that's variable is the insurance. If they don't have the hurricane straps, they're actually going to get quoted at a higher premium, which could potentially disqualify somebody for qualifying to purchase your house. So it could hurt you in the future more than just saving money on insurance, and also not having your home built safe for hurricanes, for this climate, for this environment here in South Florida. And as I said before, generally speaking, most homeowners recover the cost of upgrading those straps within a few years through insurance savings. And then once again, after the straps end up paying for themselves, That's money back in your pocket every single year as long as you own the home. Now let's shift over to windows. So how do impact windows affect insurance? So most people think that windows are just about, breaking glass and not breaking during a storm. But what they don't understand is the windows are protecting the envelope. And your home's envelope is basically everything that separates your home from the outside. So that's your windows, your doors, your roof, and your walls. So if a standard window breaks during a hurricane, the wind is going to rush inside your home. The pressure is going to push upward on the roof while the wind is pulling from above. So pretty much wind pressure coming in, pushing up on your roof. From the outside, wind pulling up. So at least keeping the hurricane outside of your house, there's a less likelihood of your roof being torn off. Not just the covering, not just losing shingles, losing tile. If you've seen during Hurricane Andrew or in the movie Twister, you see people's roofs getting torn off completely where it's just a house of walls. And that's because that roof to wall connection is not strong enough. It could also be because the force was so strong, but let's set ourselves up for the maximum protection. So that phenomenon is actually called uplift, and uplift is actually what tears roofs off a home. So when you install the impact windows, you're not just protecting glass and keeping things from flying in from your house, you're actually reducing the likelihood of catastrophic roof failure. So insurance companies actually understand this, which is why shutters, impact windows, accordion shutters, rolling shutters, any kind of shutters, any kind of opening protection is accepted. That's why this stuff matters. And that's why insurance companies require wind mitigation reports all the time. And that wind mitigation report is basically, if your insurance company was considered a life insurance, your doctor's inspection saying, are you a high risk patient? If you have somebody with hypertension, diabetes, overweight, chronic heart disease, that's potentially a high risk person for life insurance. Now, the same thing is true for your roof, and instead of going to the doctor, you get what is called a wind mitigation. So if that wind mitigation says that this person is in bad health or more than likely to pass, etc., your rate is going to be higher. Now, if you are a healthy individual, aka you have a healthy home, that premium or that risk once again is going to be reduced. So the wind mitigation is basically a document that just looks at certain features of your home. So they look at the shape of the roof, and actually a gable end roof versus a hip roof will actually be more expensive. They're going to look at the age of the roof, your roof to wall connection type, secondary water barriers on your roof, do you have impact protection on your openings, and each of those features are actually going to qualify you for credits, meaning that you're spending less. And as I'm saying, more credits, lower premiums. And by people, and once again, not to beat a dead horse, this is the bigger issue. As I mentioned before, a lot of insurance companies are leaving Florida. But why are insurance companies leaving Florida? Because insurance claims are high. Homes fail, roofs detach, water intrusion happens. To rebuild a home is very expensive. And when homes are weaker, claims are typically larger. And what does a large insurance claim mean? That means a lot of money that the insurance company now has to pay. So now, being an insurance company, you're losing money every year. Florida does not seem like a great place to do business. Doing business in Florida becomes more expensive for the insurance companies. And this ends up becoming a cycle. So ultimately, weak construction is going to create a high amount of claims. High claims, it's going to drive up premiums. And high claims are going to push carriers out, as we've been seeing over the last couple of years here in Florida. And if we have less carriers, it means less competition. And with less competition, you're typically going to see higher prices. So what's the solution here? Stronger homes, upgraded straps, impact windows, proper underlayment, better connections, and insurance companies will no longer hate Florida or be so scared of Florida. Insurance companies do not like unpredictable risk. And if it's predictable that it's very high risk, they're not gonna like that. So when our homes here in South Florida are built better, the insurance company's risk is gonna drop. And when the risk drops, the premiums are gonna drop. Maybe some insurance companies come back into the market. So the next time you're planning on doing a construction project, ask yourself and your contractor, are you just planning to build to inspection? Are you upgrading to reduce long-term risk for you as the homeowner? Because there's a difference. If you're already replacing your roof, it's the ideal time to look at your roof to wall connections. If you're considering impact windows, you're strengthening the envelope, not just the storm hardening of your home. And when you combine these upgrades, you're not just storm hardening your home, you're now improving your insurability. And in Florida right now, that matters just as much as the construction itself. Bigfoot Windows and Roofing, building trust, one window, one door, one roof at a time.